welcome to the Zadzooks Happy Hour, a podcast providing commentary on the latest in film, TV, games, and comics. My name is Todd Stoll, and I'm joined by 25-year veteran reporter covering pop culture, video games, and technology for the Washington Times, Joseph Zadkowski. Would you ever buy the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 soundtrack to have?
No.
No, because you probably...
Because I got Apple Music. Why would I do that?
Right.
So you could recreate that in 10 minutes.
I saw this beautiful vinyl.
Oh, no.
Like, just...
Mr. Vinyl now.
No. It was
he buys a $50 record player, and now he's Mr. Vinyl.
No. It was just weird to see that they would produce that on vinyl, considering that they don't really have the rights to the songs outright. It just seems like a big expense.
Well, somebody has the rights.
I mean, I guess.
They had to have them to get him in the movie.
So, but I wouldn't buy it on an MP3 album, let alone on vinyl. It is. I mean, they're great songs, and it's a great album, but it just seems like, I don't know, it was a little weird.
It's a little too soft for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
I mean, now your kid is introduced to ELO at least. That's
the great thing about Guardians.
Yeah.
When they put a great song on there, kids all of a sudden...
Oh, my kid was humming the end thing with Hasselhoff. I heard him humming that song. I was like, oh, great. So we're going to talk this week about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 if you haven't caught on yet.
Way late.
Yeah, but it's...
The Cinematic Universe Edition. That's at least the one I'm looking at.
Yeah. So you screened a different version. I screened the digital download version, but I think the extras were more or less the same.
Yeah, mine wasn't any different. There was nothing extended or...
No.
The only thing I had was a poster.
Inside?
Yeah, with Hasselhoff and his band. The Snoopers, whatever the heck they're called.
Do you think that this gives David Hasselhoff any sort of boon being in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie and being a part of their sort of...
Not unless he becomes part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Because he's pretty much done after this movie.
Well, I know, because the whole premise is Peter Quill thinks his father is David Hasselhoff. But he's in it 2 different times, right?
Right. For quickly,
but still he's in it, and it's weird. I watched...
Sneepers. Sorry, their band name is the Sneepers.
But is that really his band name, or is it just the name of the band for the one song?
It's the name of the band for the one song.
Weird. Did you watch the music video for it on the extras?
Oh, that was the best part of the extras.
It was so stupid, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it.
Brilliant.
I know. What was I going to say? I've totally lost my train of thought on this, but so I watched what I really liked. I mean, other than the fact I really liked the movie, of the special features was James Gunn talking about how he had picked the music out before he was done writing.
Yeah.
And
that he plays the music
for
while
the actors.
They're shooting a scene.
And that's awesome.
It is awesome.
And then, you see some of this behind the scenes footage where they're playing the music, and it's, Peter Quill, and it's, it's an emotional scene with, what is his name now? Michael Rooker's character. Why am I blanking on this?
I don't know. I know who you're talking about. It's not Gamora. We know who Gamora is. It's not Ego. That's Kurt Russell.
No. Why am I blanking on this? This is the worst ever. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. That's all we need to say, I guess. Mr. Catchphrase. Merle from The Walking Dead.
Michael Rooker.
Yeah, I know. It's Michael Rooker, but what's his character's name? It's like...
I want to see how long it takes us, how much time we're going to kill before.
Why?
Yondu.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And how they played the music where they're sort of having their emotional ending.
Yes.
And it was pretty cool. I actually really enjoyed seeing how much he is invested in making these movies, and that they really are a passion project for him and not just a cash grab or a paycheck. He's writing. He's got a very specific way he wants things done.
Because he came from crap.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily saying that in bad terms. He worked for Tromo who did a lot of schlock horror films, and he started there, so he learned all those little fun practical effects techniques and things, which he put into a film called Slither, which I also reviewed, which was an awesome horror comedy. It was like one of the coolest.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm like almost best buddies with James Gunn at this point, because I've now listened to like 3 different commentary tracks with James Gunn and know like everything about the guy.
I kind of feel a little betrayed that, I mean, he's only an executive producer on the Avengers and that he doesn't have any say whatsoever in those characters, because I feel like
he couldn't, because he'd take it over.
I know, but it feels like those are his characters, you know, like it would be a disgrace to see a different director or a different writer working on it, and he's already signed on for volume 3.
Well, they can't be in it much because there's about 50 characters in it, right?
I think they're central to the story.
I don't know.
I mean, based upon the trailer, they interact with Thor very early on.
Anyway, this movie's great.
How many times have you watched it?
5.
And it's great.
It's great. There's nothing I hated about this movie. I thought it was so much fun.
I actually think that the opening credits with Baby Groot dancing around,
brilliant,
was the right tone to kick this movie off.
The 4K is an upscale from their 2K master, even though...
What a shame.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, all right, it might be a shame, but this is Disney finally jumping aboard. This is their first 4K release.
But upscaled.
Even though they shot it on a Red Weapon camera system, which has 8K resolution possible. So I'm not sure why they downsized it, other than the fact that most theaters can't handle it, and I don't know how that works in theater.
But when you're pressing a 4K, it shouldn't matter because you're using the master to do that.
But the master's, off of 2K, so I don't know why they did that.
Weird.
It was still beautiful. I knew, but I didn't know that James Gunn was involved in a great video game called Lollipop Chainsaw, and I don't even know if you knew that.
No.
I was watching the movie, right, and there's these bursts of color in this movie at points where I'm like, wow, that just looks like Lollipop Chainsaw. And then I went and looked it up and went, oh, wow, he was part of that game. And it's a game where you're basically like a cheerleader type holding off a zombie apocalypse, and you run around with a chainsaw and start cutting things up.
Which platform was this for?
Like PS3, maybe? PS4? It was a great game, but I had no idea who James Gunn was at that time. So that's important to know.
I think that I've seen that he's signing on to do a TV series. I think maybe he's just going to be executive producing it. But he's just one of those guys that this film was meticulously done. I got this like Edgar Wright, Christopher Nolan vibe where it's like they're in the edit room. They're paying attention to the music. They're really...
Oh, and from a pop culture standpoint, I mean, the moment I saw him pull out that Mattel Classic football game...
I mean, come on.
I love the fact that Howard the Duck shows up again.
Love the fact... What was it the second... It was the second sort of credit reel, right?
No, Howard the Duck shows up in the movie.
Right. But he's in it twice.
It's just a picture of him in the second part. Yeah.
That's right. Stan Lee has a pretty... Actually, Stan Lee, this is the one cameo that I actually feel like was very well suited for him.
But it's kind of tying everything together. If some people are saying it's tying, because he's now considered to be like a watcher. He's in the spacesuit hanging up there telling stories with the Watchers.
And then he's just left by himself.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I will be curious to see how they integrate him into Infinity Wars.
Yep. Pac-Man makes an appearance, which is cool.
The Microsoft Zune.
I could not have picked a better ego than Kurt Russell.
Absolutely not.
Fantastic choice. Sylvester Stallone, who's also showing up with a new gang of Guardians. New old. I think they're the elder Guardians. Miley Cyrus is in it.
Really?
Her voice is in it.
Okay.
As Mainframe. She's one of the Guardians at the end of the movie that you're introduced to.
Right.
So that's cool. Michael Rosenbaum is the guy with the glass kind of head, the crystal head.
And Ving Rhames.
Yes.
For a second. But are Ravagers Guardians? Or I thought they were thieves.
They're like space pirates.
Right.
But in the comic book, there is a Guardian group led by Sylvester Stallone's character.
Okay.
So that's
I wonder if maybe because of what happens at the end of this film, he sort of joins that bandwagon.
I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
For another one.
You know, and Stallone was great in this movie. This is the kind of role that throws him in. I mean, like, you had Kurt Russell, who's an older actor, Stallone, who's an older actor.
Listen to the commentary, and Gunn's just like, I love Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And I had to put him in a movie.
Okay, great.
So I was like, he's in.
Fantastic. Way to go. Like, give us more.
He loves, he specifically said he always used to pretend to be Snake Plissken and Rambo growing up.
So did he introduce Josh Brolin as Thanos?
I don't know.
Or was that, I wonder if that was pre-selected by Marvel.
Marvel probably did that, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughs.
There is a lot of laughs. That's like one of the complaints of the movie.
It's that people are laughing too much?
Too funny.
Well, what's the...
So
what's the first one?
How much serious, we get the point.
I mean,
it's big stakes.
The funniest part of the movie for me was Peter Quill walking into an adolescent Groot's room.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting, and he's doing nothing but playing video games.
Yep.
And just complaining about it, which I thought was great.
So if you haven't seen the movie, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
It's one of the best movies of the year.
Yeah, I think it's
fun.
Yeah.
It's total fun.
It's a comic book movie that also feels like it's not trying to be.
Right.
And what James Gunn did with the Yondu character was phenomenal. And they're working on trying to see about submitting Michael Rooker for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Well, that's certainly possible.
And they're petitioning Disney and Marvel to get on board with that.
And the other thing that I found great was on the 3 commentary tracks I listened to with Gunn, he gives Michael Rooker a steady stream of crap the entire time. There's one on Slither where Rooker's in the room, and it is non-stop sniping. He is sniping him every other minute. I think they're like best friends.
Yeah, he has put Rooker in everything he's done.
Yes, because if you watch Slither, you'll know why.
Yeah.
The amount of insanity they put Rooker through in that movie with the appliances and to get him turn into a monster is unbelievable.
Yeah. No, Michael Rooker does not get the credit that he deserves. He's great. He's been around forever. Yeah. I think the first movie I saw him in was Days of Thunder, which was, 92?
He was in Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yes.
Which was intense.
And he's terrifying in that.
Right.
He's a great actor. This was a great movie. There were complaints that Chris Pratt could never hold a movie by himself, that he's one of these actors that always needs an ensemble around him because of the issue with Passengers and how people felt that it was a terrible movie.
Wow. Somebody left comments on my story. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm going to do this right in the middle, and nobody does that ever. There's someone who's saying that I had an adverse reaction to the color scheme and could not finish the movie.
What does that even mean?
I also had difficulty with the colors in the opening scene. It made the Planet Ego hard to... There was a Willy Wonka element that caused discomfort.
Okay, take your TV, take it outside, and smash it with a baseball bat and go get a new one that's modern.
So now they got into a fight with somebody else. Way too sensitive. What a hothouse flower. And the person responds, hey, turd blossom. So there you go. Once again... There's the reason why we have social networking and comments.
This is why websites shut commenting down.
That's why websites shut comments off. Though I appreciate the comments.
Yes. So I will say this is the highest of the A+ you can get for a film.
Right. Next to, of course, the new Ghostbusters.
I want to talk about it. I purposefully got the pre-release because I wanted it early.
You never do that.
And
which is crazy.
I loved.
And after talking about this, I'm probably going to go watch the movie again.
Yeah, I'm
that good.
I'm pretty pumped by it. Those first two movies are very solid. I mean, I'm very pleased. It's sort of like what you would want films like the Justice League to be like.
And they were saying, the first one was better. You know what? I disagree. I really love the second one.
The first one's like an origin story.
You got to set up, so you're going to spend half the time setting up characters.
Exactly.
This one you didn't need to. You could dive right into it and have fun.
And I also found that the second one, it's a much more difficult battle than the first one.
I agree.
I mean, granted, there are more people involved.
Right.
Whereas with this one, it's very much isolated to just a few. By the way, is the other Gunn in this movie a relative of James Gunn?
Yes.
It is? Is it his son?
Wait a minute. You mean the guy who's Yondu's right-hand man?
Yeah. Is that a relative?
No, it's like his brother.
Okay.
And he's in Gilmore Girls.
Right. But it is a relative, right?
It's his brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, you know what?
And you know what? He's funny. He's good. In Gilmore Girls, he's like a staple of the
and you know what?
town.
I want to give a shout out to David Bautista because he's hilarious.
He is hilarious.
And
he's like John Cena. John Cena's got that same wit.
So does The Rock.
You're right.
I mean,
what does that tell you?
I mean, there's a reason why professional wrestlers get into like full motion
they got
picture
a sense
acting.
Of humor.
He's great in this, and my kids laugh at him hysterically. They think he is the funniest thing. Bradley Cooper, great job again on the voice.
Yep.
I mean, there's only so many times you can say "I am Groot," so I don't really give a lot of props to Vin Diesel on that one. But I know that
you didn't consider it an emotional performance.
No.
One of the best of his career.
No, not really at all. Nebula was great in this one, I thought.
Yes.
And the dynamic between Nebula and Gamora, very cool. And the dynamic between Peter Quill and his father,
it was great. It was all great. It was all great.
It was all great.
That's all I want to talk about.
It's a lot of praise.
I can't talk about this anymore.
All right, when we come back,
we've received no money.
We've received no money reviewing this, other than the fact
it's great.
We've received hours of entertainment.
Right.
When we come back, we will talk about
something that's
alien,
that's complex yet not so entertaining.
Covenant.
I like. Yeah.
Communities Digital News, built by the writers and editors that deliver the news 24 hours a day. Visit comdiginews.com. That's COMMDIGI news.com. And support the next evolution in news.
What? We're back?
There's a xenomorph over there. Watch out. A face hugger.
I don't think it's a xenomorph.
It is a xenomorph, isn't it?
What's the other ones?
Face huggers.
Neomorphs.
Oh, yeah.
A neomorph bloodburster.
And they're white. Neomorphs are white.
Yeah.
Xenomorphs are black and they drool a lot.
Well, Ridley just couldn't leave it alone, could he? He just refuses to stop.
I want my Neil Blomkamp alien version with Sigourney Weaver, and I want it now.
Who, first of all, thought that Ridley Scott was going to let this guy direct that movie? Did Ridley give it to him?
With it.
Ridley said, "Okay, you have my blessing. Do it."
Yeah, he had the studio, he had the blessing, he had Sigourney Weaver reprising her role as Ripley. He had it's been so long since I've seen Aliens, but Michael Hahn was going to come back, and then they were going to have the synthetic. And that somehow, and I think they even talked about, well, obviously can't do it now, but Bill Paxton.
Right.
They were going to somehow figure out a way to like bring them back into the fold. And it all started from an Instagram posting of Neil Blomkamp that he drew some like new weaponry and it just exploded online. And the next thing you know, he's like, I just was contacted by 20th Century Fox. And then he writes a script. He gives it to Sigourney Weaver. She's like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I want to do it. Poof. Gone. Ridley.
It's
stop.
all Ridley.
Stop what you're doing. Like nothing you have been doing lately.
But he's a genius.
Yes.
I've been told in every
80s,
featurette that he's a genius.
In the 80s, he was a genius. I'm not feeling it. Give somebody else a chance in this universe. I want to see what they can do. Right. There's so much to do. Like the stupid Aliens versus Predator. Awful. Alien 4. Awful. Alien 3 was not great either. Right. The first two, in my opinion, if you order
Ridley didn't do 3 or 4, did he?
And he didn't do 2. He did 1.
Right.
And I'm sorry, Aliens is better than Alien.
Yeah, but you couldn't have Aliens without Alien.
Doesn't matter. Okay. I think you could have had Aliens if you wanted to, independent of it.
Couldn't have either of them without Alien Covenant, though.
Or
according
Prometheus.
To the backstory.
No, go back further and go to Prometheus.
Right.
Okay, I have so many questions.
Sure, ask away.
Okay. My first issue is that when you were introduced in Alien, you were under the assumption that no one knows that these things exist and that it's a surprise and that the end of it sets up Aliens where it's blown out, the xenomorph, the soul xenomorph is blown out of the airlock of the ship and it sets up Aliens where they go back to LV-486. And
yeah, but how does that planet get infested with aliens? Something had to get it there.
I know.
That's why we have Prometheus and Covenant.
But come on.
And 2 more movies.
And yeah, there's 2 more prequels, which apparently at the end of the 4th prequel, it's supposed to set up Alien, right?
Right.
My understanding. Now, what's he going to do? Remake Alien and start the whole thing? I
think he's got to be done then.
He just needs to be done, period.
Right.
Like, it's the same story being told with a synthetic / android kind of running amok.
Right. Well, he admits in the commentary track that it's the same plot as the original Alien, but he believes it's good to revisit old ideas.
No, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, I want to love this movie. I do. I love Aliens so much.
Right.
It's one of, like, my go-to...
I actually like pieces of this movie. I like the way David...
I do, too.
Is like Dr. Frankenstein in it. And
I do, too. And, you know the surprising cast member that I was worried about, but then I thought about it before even watching this.
James Franco.
Danny McBride.
Right.
Was a perfect fit for this movie.
Yep.
And he's great in it.
But, right. So the problem I got with the movie is this shouldn't have never existed.
No.
It shouldn't have existed because, and you know...
Because Alien exists.
No, because you being a NASA enthusiast, would you ever land on an ecosystem, even if it's exactly like Earth, and not wear a spacesuit and a helmet? Ever?
I mean, but you're just talking...
Hazmat?
You're just talking
anything?
Semantics here. This is why NASA just posted a job posting for somebody to keep the planet safe in the event they find extraterrestrial life.
Oh, can I apply for that?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people...
No, I'm serious. Why would you ever do that?
Okay.
Other than the fact that it would set off the movie and you can enjoy the movie then.
If it's 2104... And you assume at this point, because we have managed to have interstellar travel,
right,
that a probe to determine life forms
right.
must exist in some capacity.
I didn't see them shooting a probe down there.
I mean, would you not be able to determine? Now, I guess the argument is that if you revisit Aliens, they don't know they're there. They don't show up on traditional scans. Right? But yes, the argument is you should never land on a planet, even if it has breathable air. And that's...
And once there's an obvious infection, do you let that person back on the shuttlecraft?
I mean, clearly, you do. I mean, absolutely.
Clearly you do?
Clearly. It's like, it's a movie Life all over again.
And then once again, you let the ship that contains like 2,000...
human embryos and
stasis. That's basically the entire mission. You let that ship go into the atmosphere and then pop out a mechanic shuttle. I don't even know how you do that.
If you
to
were,
save like 4 people?
If you were to colonize a world, the amount of research and years it would take to do that, to determine with like unequivocal like certainty that there is no life form that is hostile.
Right. You can't assume that the hostile is going to be something you can see.
Now, unless this takes place during like a very corrupt Earth with corrupt corporations who just completely circumvent that, which, I mean, they don't really discuss except for the fact that the company clearly is like one of the most corrupt in the world to keep sending people to die.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no quarantine protocol.
No.
At all.
No.
Which completely would ruin the entire Alien franchise if there was.
Well, because the second one's the same way. They land on the planet. They're terraforming the planet, and no one is wearing a spacesuit.
Right.
The protocol of basically always getting stuck in the last place, and then of course it's the same thing. How do they get rid of the xenomorph? They blow it out of the airlock.
Yes.
It's like, is there another way to get rid of it?
They crush one, too, which is even stupider.
Yeah, because it's like acid for blood, and, there's problems when you do that.
Right.
But, I mean, is this like Ghostbusters, and the only way that you can catch a ghost is by zapping it and putting it in a trap, so the only way you can get rid of a xenomorph is blowing it out of the airlock in every movie? Come on. You got to have another way to get rid of them. I mean, I know they nuked the planet in the second one, but, like... Come up with something new. Like, figure out another way to get rid of it.
It was an okay movie.
It wasn't my favorite.
If you haven't ever seen Alien, you'd probably enjoy it. But you wouldn't understand what the heck's going on.
I will be honest with you. I find Alien to be slow.
Oh, it's deadly slow.
And that's why, for me, when James Cameron took over and did Aliens, game changer.
But the whole point of that movie is a giant 2-hour slow burn
for the
last 30 minutes, the first movie.
The first one. The second movie is in your face.
I couldn't watch the movie on a film screen.
No,
because it was terrifying. Do you remember the build-up in space, No One Can Hear You Scream, and that entire marketing campaign? By the time I got into that movie, I was cowering in fear. I spent my entire time with my hands in front of my face going, oh, man, it's coming. Here it is. Oh, yeah.
My 10-year-old to tomorrow 10-year-old is desperate to watch these movies. And I'm like, dude, nope.
Aliens would be, because that's almost comic booky at points.
But
but there's a kid in it that wouldn't.
The language is a bit
that's
much.
True.
I mean, that's a pretty hard R.
Yep, it is.
I mean, in today's standards, if they were to reshoot Aliens, the blood and gore would be off the charts.
My kid had all the aliens under his belt by 10, so.
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
It didn't affect him adversely. So.
No.
But he's kind of a different bird.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put this one out here as it wasn't as bad as Aliens 4 or Aliens versus Predator, and it was, in my opinion, in some ways better than Aliens 3. So I give it like a B-, like C+, B-. I'm frustrated by the repetitiveness of it, and I worry about the next two, and I just wish that we could get some fresh blood on this franchise.
I had to go back and watch Prometheus. Prometheus was much better after watching Alien Covenant because it just made a lot more sense.
I couldn't make it through Prometheus. I thought it was really not a good movie at all.
So I give it a B because of the extras. Did you watch any of the extras like I told you to?
I did. The sketch art was... I want some of that stuff badly.
So to tell you what we're talking about, the best way... There's this great archive of David's illustrations, and they look like... David is the synthetic or the android.
Yes.
And it looks like Da Vinci's Human Anatomy illustrations, a lot of it.
But
except it's tied to the Alien franchise.
Yeah.
So, and it's this rather robust database. There's hundreds of illustrations in this. To try and use a Blu-ray or a 4K controller to get through them is ridiculous.
Yep.
So what you do is you use the download code and you go to like iTunes, and iTunes makes it painless to take a look at this stuff.
Absolutely.
It's click, 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 click on your computer, and you get some unbelievable shots of his experiments and his cataloging of the species on the planet. It's fascinating.
Think about how much money they had to pay artists to come up with that stuff.
And he's got handwritten notes on a lot of the illustrations.
Some of them on like the edge of the paper and the liners. It's very cool.
That alone just sucks you into the movie. So even if the movie's terrible, after reading all those and looking at those, you're going to be pretty psyched about going in there.
So do you think Fassbender comes back again for whatever the next one is?
Yes, because he's going to turn that woman into the queen. Somehow, genetically. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be pretty either. But we'll see. He was great in it. I thought Michael Fassbender was
He's a great
perfect,
actor.
and he's a great actor.
He's a great actor. And the woman, I don't remember her name.
I don't either. I don't even references because they're basically victims.
Yeah.
I don't even bother.
She's...
James Franco's in the movie for about 2 minutes.
She is very Ripley-esque.
Yes.
And I could see this franchise surrounding itself around her, although I don't anticipate that happening.
Because she's not going to make it.
Because she's not going to make it.
Right.
Neither is Danny McBride.
No. But it'll be interesting to see what happens to him.
If they do anything with him.
Right.
If they even reference it in the next film.
Well, there you have it.
Now I'm worried for Avatar 2 and Avatar 3, the first one was mind-blowing.
I think he should wait another 10 years before he releases them.
I know. It's just
when did that movie even come out?
I feel like it was a decade ago. I do. Isn't there 4 of them? I think there's
I don't know.
2, 3, and 4.
I barely remember the story now.
I just know that
so far back.
Sigourney Weaver was in it, Sam Worthington, and it was Zoe Saldana's kind of breakout role.
Yes,
and
that's
then
right.
She moved into Uhura right afterwards. All right. Well, that's what we've got. 2, big opening films that, we're a little behind on reviewing, but that's okay.
Guardians was a mega blockbuster. Alien was disappointing at the box office domestically, but did okay internationally.
Of course,
okay.
Of course.
Made its money back, I think.
Yes, it did. And we're now back on a regular schedule. So
yeah, until something else happens.
Until something else. No, we'll be back on a regular schedule. And, we're online.
Hey, don't we have a website?
We do have a website.
You didn't mention that.
I am finishing putting the last touches on it, but it is out there, and you can check all of these episodes out, as well as trailers and 4K release notes and other things and reviews that we're going to do outside of this podcast, which is ambitious, but we think we can get it done. We'll pull in Joe's stories from the Washington Times as well, so you can see what he's up to there. And it's all good stuff. It's ZadzooksHappyHour.com.
So feel free to ignore that also.
No, we're doing pretty well on it, actually. So we're on Facebook, Instant Articles. You can read us there.
That's true.
And people seem to like that. We're on YouTube, and we're, of course, on your favorite iTunes.
IUDs. No, wait, that's not it.
Weapons of mass. No, we're on any RSS.
Everything you can hold and make noise out of.
Pretty much, and your Amazon Alexa.
Really? So you can say Zadzook's Happy Hour.
You can say, Alexa, play Zadzook's Happy Hour on TuneIn.
Damn, I got to try that.
And it works. So
this man's a genius. Nobody knows about it.
Who, Ridley Scott?
No, you.
Oh, okay.
You're much like Ridley Scott.
No, please don't.
You keep repeating things.
Well, no. My problem is if you can find me a director who can't remember anybody's name, that's who I am. Because I'm terrible at it.
Hey, you.
Yeah, that guy over there. Remember him with with the blue and that guy, Michael Rooker, the dude from Walking.
Harsh.
All right, well, I'm not Ridley Scott.
I'm hoping you'll be Ridley Scott.
Financially, I would hope so too.
Yeah. Is he directing the new Blade Runner? No, he's not. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I know.
I hope.
That's going to be something.
I hope that's good. I hope so.
It's Harrison Ford on his farewell tour.
Yeah, I mean,
every character he's ever created, he's going to kill off.
You want to put bets on this now? Does he die?
Of course he dies.
Okay, and then when he does the last Indiana Jones,
he'll fall into a pit of lava or something.
Do you think he'll sacrifice himself?
Of course he will.
Is Shia LaBeouf still his kid, or do they recast?
Oh, boy. They're going to have to recast.
And does Sean
this
Connery
guy's out
come
of
back?
His mind.
Does Connery come back?
He could. He's still around.
Yeah.
Right? He's still...
Yep.
He's about like 90 now. I don't know.
How was your Force Friday? Did you?
I completely ignored it.
Okay.
Because I've had it with that stuff. I didn't know it was coming, and it came and went, and it's the worst possible idea for merchandising possible.
Did you see the...
It's so whorish, I can't stand it.
The $800
Yes.
Millennium Falcon
Yes. Lego set.
8,000-piece Lego set?
Yeah, really?
That's what everybody says. Basically, they...
You got to be out of your mind.
They said it was like 22 cents per piece, which is insane. It's like Legos are worth more than a gold bar.
Right.
At this point.
I think I'll buy a gold bar.
Okay. Well, good. Good for you. I drove by Fort Knox, by the way. I tried to stop and get some
Did you
stuff.
get some? Nothing.
Couldn't get in.
No subsidies.
They said I didn't have the code.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Until next time.